It does not feel like 56. I actually tried to go outside on my this was last day with students today. I tried to go outside and it was too cold and it was weird to have that feeling because it was 53 and very breezy, which is not very good when it was overcast and not warm. Also saw two rabbits outside, which are two new rabbits. I'm almost assured that they live just on the other side of the shed behind the or in the bush that I have. So I'm pretty sure it's a family because I've seen one that's bigger, and I assume that's the mom or the dad of the family, and then I've seen younger rabbits. So quite interesting to see that. But I guess without dogs here, there's no societal pressure for them to run away. I've gotten like as close as I am to the camera. I've gotten to one of the rabbits. So I don't know why they are comfortable with me. Yeah, a little rabbit family. So I think I'm becoming their new dad because they're letting me get closer and closer to them. Don't really want to touch them because they might try to bite me or something. I don't know. I don't know what rabbits do if you try to touch them. I guess I'll find out one day. They keep letting one guy just let me keep walking close because I'm almost. They always run back into the bush that's next to the shed, so I'm pretty sure that's where they live, which is like a really fantastic spot. So I haven't gone under there to look or anything because I don't want to grief them about where they're about their house. They don't come in my house, so I don't want to go in their house. It's randomly cold today, but last week this session I did snatch, clean, and jerk all separate, but I'm gonna do front squats today and overhead press. So all strength work. Um, they don't see me lift; they hear me lift. You think they would run faster, but um, they always freeze. That's always, I guess that's just a rabbit thing. But they just freeze and pretend like you can't see them, but they're always ready to hop away. The one kept making like a farting noise when he was running away. It was kind of funny. It's like this dude keeps coming out of the house. It's the same guy. They probably recognize me at this point. Then I just stand there and talk to him and then walk into the shed. So they're at least becoming more familiar with me. I'm not like randomly running at them. That'd be a little toxic. But yeah, which I was gonna say. Oh, I'm gonna do front squats today. I'm gonna try to do them with straps, so it should be interesting. And the overhead presses. Just strength work today. I know last week, like I said, I did snatch, clean, and jerks all separate on this day, but I just don't feel like it. It's a little too cold. The vibe's just not there. I also, I actually moved quite a lot today. I think it was like at 13,000 steps, but I had a lot of moving of furniture and stuff that I helped with in the morning, and then with dismissal, there was when I say an unruly second grader. Um, Basically, I mean, there's a kid with special needs, and he weighs as much as almost as much as I do. He's extremely strong, and transitions and stuff he was struggling with. So I rode with him on the bus. So that was physically difficult to make sure that he was safe on the bus. But nice. I'm gonna try, in theory, to do 100 kilograms in the um, front squat today, and I would like to do it with straps on, so I can kind of continue to stretch out the front rack. I think that's just free mobility if I can manage it. And with cleans, it's been going pretty well. 245, not bad. So you're saying I should try to do my set to 10 at 246, just to one up you by a pound. Sounds a little too heavy, but although one would that be in kilos? So 245, that's like 111. So I'd have to do like 112. Doesn't sound very fun. I like how Bernie is upset. I don't know why you're upset about measurements. It's weightlifting. You use kilos. Really, from powerlifting too. Like for competitions, you use kilos as well. So it's kind of a it's a weird thing to get mad about. Woke up today feeling very patriotic. We measure our weights in freedom units. Bald eagles and freedom. Bruh. Bernie, you literally just got upset because I said kilograms. I mean, I'm not one. I'm not gonna disagree with you, Bernie. So I'm just gonna let you insult yourself. I suppose it's. I mean, I don't know. I hope you think more highly of yourself. Just because you got upset for a little bit doesn't mean that you are a woman or a pansy. Dials, kilo, nails. Sorry, I only weigh my things and the amount of bald eagles. One standard bald eagle. I do like the Bernie. He got upset, and then he says, "Don't. Why are you? He's basically talking to himself in the third person, which is adorable, which I appreciate. which um, I like it at all. Not Harry, all Larry. Oh, the Harry Larry. Now we got a Bernie. Although he's American. Don't confuse him with any foreigner. I measure all my weights in the amount of bald eagles. I'm gonna lift about 3.5 bald eagles tonight. 3.25 bald eagles. Where's my, oh yeah. So these straps, they're literally the same size as my looms, but they slide on the bar better. So I like using them for that. I like the view message. What? Volk. It says, don't be a woman, Bernie, and that says they got flagged. It's pretty toxic. Well, Volk, that second comment, I see why that one got flagged. You can't say that word. I'm not going to be scrolling through all the view messages when they're getting flagged. So you got to clean up your act, Volk. Come on, buddy. This might be America, but YouTube is not the land of the freedom of speech. I like how that doesn't get flagged. I'm doing pretty good, Volk. This is today was the last day with students, which they did like a clap out for him for like the second graders because they're going on to a new school, and I guess I've never really been that like sad to transition from like whatever school that I'm at to like when I was a kid going to like larger schools. I was never like upset going from fourth to a new building, and then after sixth grade going to a new building, after eighth grade going to the high school, after high school going to college, after college being done with. Like I was never like upset, and never really like crying or upset or even like I don't know. I guess maybe that's just a guy thing, but I saw a lot of kids that were upset and like crying in it. Um, I mean, I guess in a it's weird to say it's good, but like it shows that they cared about they enjoyed their time at school and stuff like that. But for me, as I've never have had that feeling. I guess it's also kind of like the same thing like when kids hug adults at the school. I've literally never hugged an adult like or any I should say an adult. I've never hugged a teacher as a kid ever at any point that I can remember. Maybe I did when I was real little or something, but I literally have never remember ever doing that at any point. And there will be kids that will every time they see you will give you a hug, which to me like it's not like oh gross like oh I'm not like shoving them away, but like to me it's just like in the back of my head it always just feels kind of weird because it's like why like I just it doesn't like to me as a kid I would just never that was never even like a thought that I had but I guess I'm not a touchy feely kind of person. I suppose I have no emotions apparently, and I'm not touchy feely. So, along with the summer lifting plans, I mean lifting be pretty normal, but then essentially to get down to 230. So this morning I was 236 point something, and so just continue to get down to 230 and see how I feel at that weight, and maybe lose a little bit more. weight and see if I'm able to move faster. So it's kind of that's generally the goal. Obviously, always to get stronger, but essentially to kind of reset my body weight down to 230 and potentially down to 225 if I decide. But I'm going to get to 230 first because that would be about 10 pounds down. So a decently significant amount of weight loss. So let's see how I'm feeling at that. Olympic weightlifters. See, Bernie, dogs are completely different. You hug every dog every time you see them. Bendy is they have therapy dogs at a lot of the schools. So Bendy, I mean, I'm at school, so I can't really like, snug up with her, but I pet her as much as I can during the day. But yeah, hug dogs. I'd hug any dog. I'm not gonna hug a random adult. Yeah, all dogs need hugs. Even my old roommates, their one dog. This is where I'm kind of a psychopath when it comes to dogs. So like people, yeah, I don't hug, but Bo, he's like a bigger dog, and he learned to accept hugs. But it was funny because he's more aggressive, but he's just kind of like nervous and territorial, so he'll growl and bite a little bit. But like I would just hug him, and he's like trying to fight me. I'm just hugging him, and eventually he learned to accept it. But it's quite funny with that. Charles the Beagle loved all the attention. But well, yeah. I mean, I'm not like anti hug. I just it's not like a thought that I have, if that makes sense. Yeah. But and it's not even so like for me it's like I'm not like, oh no, I have to hug my mom when I go see her. Like I don't like, oh no, like I can't do physical contact or anything like that. But like people I don't really know, and I would consider like when I was a kid, like teachers, like I know them, but like I don't know. I think kids just have a deeper connection. Some of them, and I don't think it's like a bad thing that they feel like that or anything. It's just to me, it's like it's hard to like think that like a kid would even ever desire that from an adult. But I mean, like logically, it makes sense. I'm K to two, so I have the littles, so that's where it'd be a little bit. Actually, when I was 1 through 6, basically when you hit fourth grade, I don't give you hugs anymore, no matter what. Don't care what kid. Don't care if I've known you since your first grade. Once you hit fourth grade, fist bump. I'm blocking them out. You're not no. I've had a sixth grader ask, "Can I get a hug?" And it was like a girl trying to be an idiot, and I was like ready to throw something. I'm like, "You are not touching me. You are going away." So I mean, that's where it's like, it's not even like my preference or any sort of feeling I have about it. It is literally like, no, we're not. No, you are in fourth grade. And you're no, you go hug other people. Go hug your parents. You're not touching me. You're not. No, but the littles, if you say no, they'll get upset. But yeah, and Volk, that's where it's a little bit different. Like my district, a lot of kids have really good home lives, so there's less of that. And if you look at the percentage of kids that will just hug, random, not just, I'm not just saying myself, but other their homeroom teachers or that this or that. They're kids that who you've seen their parents and they're really involved in good parents with that. So obviously that would be one thing that would make sense. But when I think, and maybe I just didn't pay attention when I was a kid, but I felt like when I went through elementary and stuff that nobody hugged their teachers. Like I did, maybe I just didn't notice it, but like it wasn't even like so much like I saw four kids give my teacher a hug and I did it. Like it wasn't even like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like I see people like I have literally never saw that as a kid, but maybe I don't remember that where I wasn't paying attention to it, which is very possible. Um, but it's also one of those things that's like I don't know, maybe that's a cultural change over the years or something that's different now than when I was a wee lad. But I don't know. I always hug dogs though. You always hug dogs. That is 100%. But that is all about. But we're gonna. Well, I'm actually curious if I can do a front squat with straps and no weight. So, but yeah, I mean, cultures are different. The culture at the school I go to is more similar to the one I grew up with than where I was previously. But kids are generally kids. There's differences, but they're not radical differences, I don't think. Can't get my right side down on my shoulder. Yeah, can't really do it with with no weight. Leg's still good though. I don't. I don't know what you mean, Valk. Hmm. Well, it's weird. Is my left shoulder is bad relative to my right, but for whatever reason, I mean that's with no weight. Once I have weight, I can get both sides down. But it's interesting because like sometimes the right and it's not. It's just like it. I don't know. Oh, it's almost like it's a different size. That's what it almost feels like because it's my right arm in every other way is as mobile or more mobile than my left. Am I Mormon? No. I was raised Catholic, but I'm not religious anymore. There's no there's no Mormons in Ohio. Obviously, probably not literally 0%, but I I have never met a Mormon. I don't think I've ever met a Jehovah Witness either. I see a Jehovah Witness hall. I've never seen any Mormon building in any, actually any ever. I don't think. Maybe maybe I have. I've seen Jehovah Witness, but I've not seen unless that's not the same thing. I don't think. I feel like that's different. Maybe I have seen a Mormon thing. I don't know. Every version of Christianity and Catholicism you see. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a set of 10 though. It's really, it's not even stretching my shoulders. It's like stretching my elbow almost. But I mean, I suppose that's good. I would imagine that it's probably annoying to live by Mormons. But thankfully, there's not any like there's not a hard like there's a lot of religious people, but it's not like an area. I as someone that's not religious or anything, I don't feel like I have to live any differently. Now, granted, I work and I walk out to my shed to lift weights. So I could be in probably the Middle East and probably get along pretty well. I do, I do about three things in my life. And not very, yeah. I know, yeah. Hips are good right now. I've had hip stuff before a little bit, but not for a while. Mm. Yeah, and you know, I think one thing that I've noticed now that I'm an old elder is there are more people who so uh, it's like people who grew up Catholic aren't religious anymore. Like most people I talk to who are like not even that they're like atheists necessarily, they're just like not interested. There'll be people that had grew up Catholic or grew up in any denomination, but Catholicism happens a lot. But I've noticed other people who like weren't really religious or didn't really go to church growing up becoming Catholic, and as someone who had to go to Catholic mass for much of his life, I can't imagine a worse fate than choosing to go to Catholic mass. Choose any religion. I don't have an issue with people who would necessarily want to be religious or anything like that, but by golly, being Catholic, this is the boringest thing you could ever choose. But it's boring. That's the thing. It's not even. I've had. So I went to basically two different Catholic mainly one where it was very fire and brimstone and it was very boring. Well, I did 70. I'm gonna do 70 again without the sweatshirt on and make sure it feels all right. And then we're gonna go up to 100. And I don't know. I put sets of 10 down, but I kind of want to do front squats with straps, so we don't need to do that. But the other Catholic church that I was at was a much nicer priest and the masses were also shorter and it was not as unpleasant to listen to. But once you go to mass, once you are Catholic for over a year and you're old enough to like listen and comprehend stuff, it becomes very redundant. It's very cyclical. It's kind of like repeating a grade level over and over and over. So like it becomes very redundant and the football analytics. What a name to have a comment like that. I, you don't have to ask my permission to do stuff. If you want to do magic tricks and like, all that stuff, you could do whatever you want. Um, but no, I think I remember being a teenager and I think like the first like person I met that was like really really religious was like a good friend. He played like Call of Duty and stuff and he was really good at it. Um, yeah, actually, I didn't. It's true. He didn't say whether he's going to pray for good things or bad things. Maybe he's praying for my downfall. It's- it's- I'm praying that guy's knees blow out right after this rep. I'm saying, hey, you know what? If he makes my sleep better, then like if I float on my bed, but if I'm still dead asleep, then I don't mind if I float around. If my sleep's still good. No, you can't pray for me. I'll burn. I'll burn. I'm the devil. That's the real reason I stopped going to Catholic Mass. They sprinkled the holy water on me, and people gave me a sideways look when it boiled off my skin, sizzled a little bit. I thought it's because I have sensitive skin, but I think it's because I'm possessed. As a fervent Easter Bunny follower, I do find it funny that now I have rabbits in my yard. Shows that all things are possible through the Easter Bunny. Through Saint Bunny, all things are possible. He has multiplied rabbits in the yard. There's at least, 100% there's two because I've seen two at once, but um, there are definitely three at least. I mean, there could be even more. Your eyes melt. Eh, the right arm, and it's not the shoulder. either shoulder. I keep feeling like I have like a string or something. That's why I keep plucking at this. Some sort of fabric in there. You have to pay a lot more to see me lift shirtless though. But it's not even like my elbow. It's just like that muscle right there. It's a flexor something. My, not my Tommy John no, but like the actual forearm muscle. But all right, we'll throw. I mean, my legs feel good, so I don't really want to just limit myself based on what my front rack can do with straps. So I might not do a set of 10. We're gonna do 120 here, and we're gonna have the straps on. See how that feels. This is how I kind of, because like last week I didn't front squat. I kept pushing it off, and I ended up not. I mean, I did like clean front squats, so I did them in complexes, but not just out of the rack. Well, the problem is so much. It's not the set to 10. Yeah, I want to do it with straps, so I might do less reps. So we'll see how those feel. So I don't want to necessarily be like, all right, I'm only going to do 70 because like my front rack feels a little weird with straps on and not push the weight up. So we'll see, how things are feeling. Maybe football analytics will get me some extra gains. I hope so. I mean, if I have the power of the Easter Bunny on my side, I mean, who knows? Now, this is an interesting. I don't know. See, in front squats, I have to be more careful because, like, as many as I can, it starts to go forward a little bit, and I'm not. That's cross. Where you been cross? You tell me to do CrossFit. My guy, I walked 13,000 steps today. I'm not trying to do CrossFit. I got over 6 miles of movement in before I even walked out here. Dude, I feel like I have a string on there, and it. Maybe I'm on the spectrum a little bit. I'm freaking out with the texture, but it's like a string, and it's on the part that's hanging off my body. So I keep feeling it like it just feel. Maybe there's a spider in my shirt. That's probably what it is. There's just 3 spiders running around my shirt, and I keep thinking it's the string. All right. And we'll at least do one, and we'll see if I can do a couple at this weight. If this feels really easy, maybe I'll do one and then try to do like a strapped front squat with like 150. We'll see. I didn't even feel like I had the straps that tight on that one. I basically cheated. on that rep, but it felt really easy. So we'll go to 150. Now it's funny, it's my best set of 5 with front squats is with straps on, and it's 150. I haven't ever done a set of 5 with more than 150 with or without straps. And I remember too, I filmed from the sidewalk out there into the shed, so it's at a different angle. It's quite a while ago at this point. Well, like, I mean, not the dog in you, but like, the basic kilos should be pretty easy. Like 150 kilos, 330 pounds. Like, some of the easy conversions, like 100 kilos, 220, 125. Like, the weights that are easy to load in pounds should be easy to know in kilograms that are like normal whole numbers. It's once you start, for me, really, it's like, well, I guess now I can kind of like figure it out pretty quickly, but for a while it was like anything that wasn't like a multiple of 5 was difficult. I would know 85 kilos was 187 pounds, but if I said 83 kilos in my brain, I had to like really think about it. But once you use it enough, then you, thankfully, I think in kilos more now than pounds. Like obviously, I think in kind of both, but like I'm never writing stuff down in pounds. I always write it in kilos, and I don't know. I think kilos just look better aesthetically. Pounds are fine. I don't know. It's weird to say, but kilos just feel like they don't weigh as much. They're just easier. All right. All right. Curious to see how this will feel. I assume the first rep will move fine. We'll see if I can do it for more. Although, if the first rep feels good, maybe I try to bump up and do reps at a higher weight. The straps aren't really getting in the way, which is really surprising and encouraging. Getting more stretchy by the day. Maybe I can go back to doing front squats with straps on. I did that when I was trying to get my front rack better when I first started weightlifting, but I was also about 35 pounds lighter. Didn't have as much mass to get in the way. No, I'm just too yacked. I'm absolutely yacked out of my mind. All right. 35 or 150. That one actually felt heavy, but everything crackled on that one. I actually felt my left shoulder lean forward a little bit, so it was kind of a weird feeling. 22.5 red plates? That sounds diabolical. There's one weightlifter that's on Instagram that always listens to Crunch Fitness and always uses those plates that are miscolored and never puts the weights that he actually does. So like he'll do a 185-pound snatch, but because he has the red and a yellow one, it looks like 100. It's very. He's not directly lying, but he's certainly not making it easy to know, especially if people only know kilos. They don't realize that Crunch or whatever, it's like a 24-hour fitness, one of those places they have like the miscolored plates. All right. What we're going to do here is we're going to redo the reps. I honest it's not Chris Wilson, I don't think. I think I know who you're talking about. And if it's if it's the person I'm thinking about, his technique is so horrendous that I can't stand to look at. He's not really that old, and his lifting is not actually that bad, but it just aesthetically looks ugly, and I don't like it. But I'm kind of giving him a pass because I think he's like 18 or something, or is now 18. I don't know how old he actually is. That's the one thing I will say with the person that I'm talking about, which I forget. I have no idea what his name is unless you directly found it somehow and I recognized it. But like his lifting aesthetically looks nice. So I kind of give him a pass with that, but I can make aesthetically nice looking lifts with 80 kilo lifts all the time if I only ever did that. And I think he has lifted more. It's not as if he's like weak or anything, but I mean, it'd be like if these were all pounds and you asked how much it was and I just never corrected you guys and you thought it was 150 or 150 kilos when it's only 125. it's little stuff like that. But it's not really his fault. The plates in the gym that he goes to are not aesthetic. Oh, yeah, it's not. I don't think it's Chris Wilson though. Yeah, Americans do not know kilos. And honestly, there's not really a reason to. Like before I weightlifted, I didn't. I mean, I could figure out kilos. Like it wasn't like you didn't know anything. Um, Mine are Titan Fitness, but they're kilos. You think I got a Leco money? My channel's not even monetized. I'm a teacher. I ain't got a Leco money. I tell you that much. My guy thinks I'm loading. All Leco plates. Yeah, sponsor me. Send me a nice weight set, Eleiko. Send me everything. I'll take everything, Eleiko. No, it's the bar is Weightlifting House and the plates are Titan. It's hard to see. Like when I'm looking at the plate, I can read Titan on it. It says it above there, but it's not a different color than the plate, so it's hard to see on video. Not like I said, like just standing here, I can see it quite clearly, but sometimes with video it's hard to see that exactly. But they don't make it the text a different color, just the kilo numbers with it. All right, so what I want to try to do now is 150 again, and see if I can do it for multiple reps. So we'll see. I'm going to do it with straps again and see how that feels. If it feels difficult like the last one, I'll do it for a single and then do another set without straps and see if I can do more there. Because I want to work, I want to work the front rack, but I also want to work the legs, but I don't want to push my front rack with straps on in the sense that like leaning forward with it. So make sure it feels good. A little bit more chalk in my hands, but I'll try to do that again. The weight doesn't feel too bad, but it's hard to maintain my front rack even with straps on. Yeah, a little double. You can actually tell how oily the bar still is based on this hand, the bottom of it. Like it's just not wet, but like my hands are turning white. We'll get some chalk on the bar. We're doing 155 for the last set. I mean, theoretically, a set of 5 would be a PR for front squat, but I feel like maybe I've done 155. Maybe I have PR'd it. Probably not. Pretty sure I have not. But we'll for sure do one. Well, we'll see. I at least want to get one. I'm going to switch. That was close. It's like all on my wrist on that last one. That was only 4. That's not bad, but it's definitely pitched forward too much. It's close to getting that. It's close to getting the last one. Let's see what it looked like. And on the third, I knew it was going to be really difficult. First one didn't look too bad. Yeah, fifth one just stopped and was going forward too much, but no, I mean, I'll certainly take a set of 4 with that. So now just some overhead press. Nothing hurts now. I just feel really stretched. I guess I'll know tomorrow if I broke my wrist, but gives me a nice goal. Try to get at 155 for 5. Not necessarily do it, with the wrist straps on if I don't want to, but at least something to aim for. decent amount of front squat volume for what I normally do. So. And honestly, like, the kind of soreness I feel now might actually, like, lead to better mobility, because it probably is, you know, putting more strain on my wrist and a little bit on the forearm, but one way to build mobility, I suppose. Yeah, because now, with basically a full hand, I can get the bar pretty comfortably into my front rack, so one way to stretch. Yeah, I mean, in general, it could be more mobile. Nazina, are you in, is it 10 for or for league? I'm not sure. I heard that some old guy that plays league beats you all the time. I think he's like an iron player. At least that's what Justin was saying. But you probably don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't know. I mean, with your IQ as low as it is, it probably is a liability when you're trying to, you know, work as a team, because you don't really have the ability to focus on more than one simple task at a time. No, I haven't played Smite in like 2 years, maybe 3. So I don't play your games anymore. And also, it's funny that you'd say, I mean, I'm whatever level in Smite, probably not even plat. Yeah, I used to like it. Now I think with Smite 2, once that was kind of announced, I stopped playing because it didn't seem to be any point. But it got boring as well. Nuz here, he did really good in college, so good that they kicked him out. Or was it for being too good at doing schoolwork, or was it because he plagiarized? I forget. He also plays soccer. Or, well, he blames soccer for his ability to not do squats. He gets very scared of squats. He's very scared. That right there is what Nuz is afraid of, full range of motion. absolutely petrifying for someone with the coordination of a garden gnome. Yeah, like I don't actually have a problem with soccer, Daniel. No, it's just he uses it as a crutch for why he can't do squats. Because the truth is that he's scared of them because they're difficult. But he says my knees hurt, my knees, my widow knees hurt, widow knees, or is it your hips? I forget which one. Which one is bad now? Because it change. It sometimes you change it. You're not really consistent. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the strongest guy I ever have seen in person was a former soccer player, and so soccer isn't really a good excuse. But no, you should ask Justin about EC. EC was a beast. Or is a beast. He's probably still super strong. It's kind of crazy how strong you get when you just don't make excuses. See how mad Nuz gets when you talk about his squatting? See, if you had a patella tear to where you can't squat, you wouldn't be able to deadlift. And you've attempted deadlifts. So you're able to flex your knee joint and extend it without pain. But bodyweight squats, barbell squats, too much. Too much. Ouchie. Ow. But really, if you can't squat all the way down, though, it's because your knee is so bad, you should get surgery, because that's a life skill that you should just have. If you can't do a full depth squat, that's a little, you're going to fall on the ground and not be able to get back up. But no, I suppose you would know this. Is Smite 2 like out and then Smite is done? Because I know Smite 2 was released, but. Well, Daniel, you're a witness. You saw it. Nuz doesn't have an excuse. In fact, well, we got to screenshot that. Send it to Justin. Nuz does not have an excuse. No, I don't care about how the game is, but is like Smite done? Like they got rid of the original Smite and it's just Smite 2? Because I haven't looked at anything in Smite in a while. last thing I looked at was Sam the Dude and saw that his channel stopped growing and felt kind of bad for him. Okay. That's why I wasn't sure if they were taking it down. But I suppose it probably makes them a little bit of money. Never played that. Smite was the only MOBA thing I ever tried to play. I never did, I guess Call of Duty, but that was like Xbox 360 days. Back in the olden days. But for PC. But, well, I am glad, Nuz, that you don't have an excuse to squat. I look forward to, League. See, Nuz, I don't know if I've told you the story why I watched because Justin is the only reason I even, like, installed any game like that. I watched him play League of Legends and I watched him play Smite. Aesthetically, I saw League of Legends and I said that game looks dumb. Like it looks dumb. And I don't and this is for me like I didn't know anything about either game and I saw Smite and it looked more engaging. So I picked Smite. I have no interest in learning League because it looks dumb. I don't care about if it's a better game, more strategy, anything with it. Literally looks dumb, and I would have no interest of playing it. Ever. Like now that I don't play Smite, I don't play I don't look to play another MOBA. But League just looked dumb. Like I still don't understand like why people like the aesthetic of it. So knows how to do that. I do hope that you do squat nose, and I do look forward to your progress because it will be really difficult because you're not very strong. I mean, especially because your deadlift, you ended like right there and dropped it. And it said my widow finger. I hurt my widow finger. It's, all right, we'll see what 80 can do. Also, one of my favorite things that Nuz did in the gym was said that he did a shoulder press. And so, like, what I'm doing now is overhead press or a shoulder press. Nuz had the bench, leaned back, inclined it, out in front. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing 275, brother. I had 275 overhead press, too. And I'm like, yeah, not quite. Not quite. And the best part, so he's doing like the bodybuilder version of an overhead press where you're just doing an incline bench. He wasn't even doing 4 reps. Prime, beautiful. Full range of motion is Nuz's worst enemy. That's why he can't squat. All right. Man, Nuz is getting cooked. Nuz, I don't think Allah would be very happy with you speaking in such a way. If you didn't know Daniel, he likes to believe in superstitious stuff as well. How was your Ramadan, Nuz? I got an Ed Merbank gift from a student. No, he's Muslim. He's a Muslim. So, I mean, nothing really that interesting. It's just like a different version of Christianity. It's like when you go to the store and you say, you know, I want Christianity, and your mom says we have Christianity at home. It's what you get. uh, atoms coming from nowhere and going into the singularity, blowing up and causing intricate universes less superstitious. Yeah. Hey, I mean, you just believe in magic. That's fine. That's that's all on you. Literally just magic tricks. Just Wingardium. Like, honestly, if Harry Potter was written 2,000 years ago, it would be a religion. Because it's just magic and it's interesting. I mean, the Bible and the Quran, they're not really that interesting. At least Harry Potter is a cool story. But I mean, that's essentially what Harry Potter, like that universe is. It's just like a a changing up of like the biblical stories. Certainly influenced in that. Nuz, I grew up religious. I have done the research. It's not hard. Magic doesn't happen. Magic's not real. Wingardium Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa. And the funniest argument, so you brought up like the singularity and stuff like that. So let's assume that like, magic happened and some sort of God made all of that stuff. Like in what universe and what reality would it be the one religion that you happen to pick was the correct one and it not be the Easter Bunny? I'm a big Easter Bunny guy. It wasn't the Easter Bunny. Maybe the Easter Bunny's underneath the earth holding it up, just like the rabbits outside. They are a religious sign that the Easter Bunny is the one true deity that one should follow. So I mean, disprove that. I mean, there's bunnies out next door to this shed. Checkmate. Let me see if I can do this for 1 or 2. Oh, just one. If only Nuz prayed for me harder, I could have done 2. Preservation, scientific consistency. See, I'm willing to spot you. Let's say that a God created literally everything. There is an omnipotent, all-knowing, whatever. How is it not the Easter Bunny? How is it not anything other than the one thing that you picked? Because statistically, even if a religion is true, there are contradictions between all of the different ones around. So they can't all be true because there's contradictions between different religions and different faiths. So why is yours specifically, miraculously, some might say, true versus literally any other religion? Because they all seek to do the same thing. They all seek to explain what prehistoric people weren't able to understand at all, which is any scientific stuff, like germs. Like, only reason like you can't have pork because of in your religion is because people thought pigs are unclean because they probably were back in that time frame because everyone got sick from that, so they thought there was some sort of curse with that because they didn't have an understanding of germ theory. They didn't wash their hands. Like, they didn't have any understanding of any of that sort of stuff. So when a bunch of people got sick from the same sort of thing, they thought, well, this thing is not clean. It's because it's cursed. It's anti. It's something. They don't know how to explain it. That's why you can't enjoy bacon. Oh, it's blind. I mean, you're right. It's not random. It's based geographically where you're from. So, the religion of your parents is overwhelmingly, it's such a high probability that you will also share that same religion. Like there's a reason why you're not a Hindi or any other random religion because your parents have the same religion and they indoctrinated you into that same religion. Nuz, I'll be honest, I'm not really interested because it's not true. Much how Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny aren't real, which is fine if you want to believe that. But see, doing your own research is fine. We all kind of do that like for me, it didn't make any sense even as a kid, and when you see other people kind of explain it. Well, I don't know where you're gonna send it to me on. Where are you gonna send it to me? On Instagram or Discord? it doesn't matter to me which one. I don't normally go on Discord, so if you send it on there, I'll have to, if you tell me, I can look at it. But well, frankly, I don't really believe anything in the Bible because it's all when we talk about people living for 500 years, like that's when you know it's kind of nonsensical in that regard. But to me, it's religion is not really that interesting as far as it being true or not. Um, it's fine if people want to believe it if it makes them a better person or whatever, but it doesn't make any logical sense and um, I've never heard a good rationale for a specific. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, Daniel, but uh, well, I mean, Nazina, Islam plagiarized from Christianity, so I mean, you basically are. I mean, in Islam, like you even believe in Jesus, you just don't believe that he was the Messiah. So I mean, it's not even. It's actually like being part of Hogwarts and saying I'm in Slytherin and not Gryffindor. It you're still a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. Okay, I figured Daniel, because like, believe me, what you're saying sounded. I don't want to say it sounded plagiarized, but it sounded like very copy text from a website. And my oh. Yeah, but Nuz, let me know where you send that on, because I'll try. I won't watch all of it. I'm sure I'll watch like 2 minutes of it and start to giggle and not be able to finish it. But um, there's not. I mean the and there's not really good arguments for like any specific on IG. All right, there's not really a good argument for any specific religion. Like the only possible way to argue that there is something is to argue in a general idea that there is, deity or something. As soon as you because like you have to cross that hurdle, which I don't think is possible, and then you're like, well, then this specific one is also true. Like that's that's where it's like, how do you know what? How do you know like Catholicism isn't true? Like that, the same reason that you know that Catholicism, Hindi, every other religion that you don't believe in is not like that's the easy thing is to say, oh, you're that one religion that you have is as untrue as every single other religion in the world, and like that to me doesn't seem like that much of a a leap of faith than you saying there's thousands and thousands of religions. This one is true, and it just so happened that my whole family also picked this religion. Just so happened, because if you were born in the middle of India, there would be like a 0% chance that you would be an Islamic person almost assuredly. Or if you were born in some random Moldova or something. Well, I just I'm too big to fit in my closet. Is that why I'm not religious? I'm too. Is that what I'm doing wrong? I need to buy a bigger closet. I didn't realize I was supposed to not put stuff in my closet. I can't fit in there. But unrelated to all of that, this is also a good day to do some band work too. So I'll stay on live a bit more and pump the irons out. Dude, I couldn't imagine like how upset my parents would be if I became like growing up a Catholic and choose a different religion after they already know like I'm not religious. I wouldn't do that to my mom, frankly. That sounds like not nice. Not saying there are lots of contradictions in the Bible in every religious text because he's, he's cooking them. Nazina's getting cooked. I mean, what would happen if we all died and the Easter Bunny is true? I'd be the only one saved. It'd just be me and the Easter Bunny and all the rabbits that lived in my yard. They'd be like, "We knew you're the real one. You're a real G." Like, we knew. We could sense it. Little hind legs just looking terrified next to you. Find you a contradiction in the Quran. I don't really want to read that book because it's not that interesting. Like, this is perhaps my favorite. It's not even a critique, but my favorite thing to say against any religious text. They're not well written. They're very boringly written. Um, they're just not interesting books to read. Um, I've tried to read the Quran. It's as boring as the Bible. The Bible's extremely boring to read, and it's just nonsensical right from the start. And to me, it's just why would I force myself to read something that is not true and is extremely boring? You at least got to engage me. You gotta you gotta have some sort of good writing in it. And if it was truly divine writing, it would be good, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be good? Well, Nazina, no, I don't like keep mental track of contradictions or things that are incorrect in the Quran because I don't read the book. I don't care about what's the specifics that are in it. I haven't really followed like when you stop being religious as far as like Catholicism or Christianity, it's not easy to also just push aside Islam because it's just a different version of the same thing. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all close enough to the same thing. There's just little differences of what they agree or disagree with, but they all believe in the same God and all of that. So, unfortunately, to me, if one is illogical, all of them are. It's not as if one version is version 1 or 2 or 3 is different. But I mean, some of my Catholic friends thinks that Jesus, he was magic. He was got married pregnant. Do you actually? I don't know if this is something in Islam. Do you believe in like the Immaculate Conception, like the magic trick that Mary said that I'm pregnant now and all of that? I don't know if that's something. I feel like that's something that is in the Quran. Like they believe in that, and they believe Jesus was like an important figure, but he wasn't the head honcho. He was just not all the way up on the top of the totem pole. He wasn't a level 100 mafia boss. He was like a level 91. But I feel like they do believe in all that kind of magic stuff. But also, didn't who's the main guy? I guess it's Muhammad. He had like he liked children, you know, and not like a teacher. He liked marrying them. That's honestly, I mean, that's not even a contradiction. That's something that is said to have happened, and honestly, I wouldn't even respect. It's. I think it was Ricky Gervais that said it. Like, if you went up, like if God was real and you went up to heaven, it's like you just wouldn't have any respect for that deity for like creating childhood cancer, creating. I mean, literally any problem. Like, there's no reason to have that. Um, but it's because of original sin. It's because of this and that. It's like you don't. You chose to do that. If that so happens. Um, knowing the hour. It's because of my sugar lips. I'll be honest, Chris. That kind of came out of left field, but if that's a compliment, I appreciate it. Well, Nazina, why would Jesus know time? They didn't have clocks back then. They used sundial. Like, how would you? Nobody knew hours back then. Who knew an hour in 2,000 years ago? Oh, Chris, I'm gonna give you lots of mind. I'm gonna give you a whole piece of my mind. Call me sugar lips, thinking you're gonna get away with that. All right. Time to get jacked shoulders. These shoulders are going to be biblical in nature. I mean, Muhammad married a child. I'm curious. Like, how do you square with that he was a pedophile? Because it seems kind of immoral. You know, maybe I don't have a sense of morality because I'm not religious, but I kind of feel like marrying children is immoral. I mean, I don't know. Does that like you're right. I don't think Jesus was divine. You've convinced me. I'm I'm still not religious. So I. But how do you square with that Muhammad married a child or multiple children? I don't know if it was just one or multiple child, but like how that like pedophilia was a very common or is a common thing in the Quran. So because people didn't live as long, pedophilia is okay. I don't think women hit puberty at 12, knows. Okay, so if we don't live as long, you can be a pedophile. I don't like that. I don't want to live in that kind of world because as someone who has worked with kids in that range, I feel like they're not able to make intelligent life choices, and it's not very hard to tell the difference between someone that's 12 and someone that is 18, 19, or 20. So um, I feel like you don't need to be a pedophile, and also you're incorrect about the average life expectancy being like that every person died when they're 30. If the average life expectancy is 30, that means that is the average, that people lived above it, people lived below it. Back then, because there wasn't any sort of medical care, because God is great, as you know, there was a lot of deaths from pregnancy. And so if you have someone that's 0 years old that dies, that kind of tanks the life expectancy. Plus, there was no dental care, and a lot of people, and that was probably even before like biblical times, but like people would have dental issues. Like if you had a wisdom tooth that got infected when in 0 AD, like you just died. Like if you had any sort of infection. So like I agree the life expectancy was probably lower, but it wasn't necessarily that like people couldn't live longer or people didn't understand what a kid was. I feel like um, you saying that like they thought that like a 12-year-old or 10, however old that child was, because I feel like who knows how old. Um, 'Cause I haven't looked into that specifically. I just know it was, I think it was 10 or 12. Um, but to not understand like that's a child is kind of gross. An adult is someone that is, I mean, You could say 18, but I would argue that it's like 19, 20 is like when you're truly an adult. And it should be pretty, I mean, it's self-evident as far as, the actual age goes. But also it's like me personally, like I wouldn't date anyone like under like 23, 24, as someone that's, older now. So, you know, I don't think like you can get into the nuance of what is a kid and what is not, but I think 10 or 11, 12 year olds, those are clearly children, and disgusting to even like think that at any point in history that like people would essentially take advantage of the people because they don't have literally the mental faculties to make decisions for themselves. That's why when people do that today, they thankfully go to jail. Hopefully into the wood chipper. I that you shouldn't date people that are 10 to 11 or 12. You shouldn't date people that look like kids, that are kids. That's a little scary. But Nazina, how old was Muhammad's wife? And I know that in the like he had multiple wives because he was a polygamist as well. But like, how old was? Because I know the first one. Um, well, Nazina legally 18, and I think 18 is like a decent enough benchmark. But that doesn't mean I'm going to date someone that's 18. So I kind of look at it in that regard. Um, but how old was his first wife? Because we can get a nuance of like 18 or 20 or 22, 20, like whatever with that is. But like, if someone to me looks too young, I don't have an interest in them because they look like a child. And that's because I'm not attracted to kids. But I know that was, I guess that's was different. How old was the kid that he married, Nuz? You know what I'm talking. You are now dodging the question because you know what I'm asking because he was a pedophile and he married a child. So how old was the child that he married? Dude, he's supposed to be the main magical guy for your thing. He should be all holy and great. Like it, you're first you say, of course, Jesus is all he's supposed to be all knowing, so he should know the time. Like, shouldn't Muhammad know not to that pedophilia is wrong? Like that's a low. That's a low. That's low. That's a low benchmark. I will say. Okay, Nazina, how old was his child? How old was his child bride? That's what we're wondering. Cause I mean I can look it up. You don't hit puberty at 9. That's disgusting. Nuz, I've taught 9-year-olds. They're not hitting puberty. That's disgust. That's gross. You're in 3rd grade when you're 9. That's that's honestly upsetting. That's disgusting. Married a 6-year-old? Consummated. That's gross. That's bad. That's worse than I even thought. And it's not much better if they're 10, 11, or 12. That's ugh, that makes me want to throw up. That's disgusting. Nuz, 14 years, 1400 years ago, you couldn't tell a 6 or a 9-year-old. Like that's we're not in the weeds of like, oh, was this 16 2000 years ago, blah blah blah, like they didn't know the age of blah. A 6-year-old Nuz, a kindergartner. That's beyond the pale. That's non-redeemable. That's just it doesn't matter whether it's unusual or not. It's immoral. It's disgusting. If you are a holy person, supposed to be a pure, the prophet or the Messiah, whatever it is, don't that that makes me fit like that makes me physically ill. I did not realize I honestly maybe because I'm misinformed. I thought she was like 10, 11, or 12, which is already disgusting and illegal and immoral. But like a 6-year old dude, that's your man. That's the guy. Oh, that I mean that's infuriating. That's like, when they talk about people getting stoned in the current, like that's what I'd want to stone someone for. They said they want to stone people that are homosexuals. I would stone people that marry 6-year-olds. But I guess I'm just a radical, non-religious person. Oh, that's that's infuriating. That's Man. God let Muhammad marry a 6-year-old. He didn't give him with any divine wisdom to not do that to a child. See, Daniel, I'm a man that is not. I'm against child abuse. I think that's what? Now, Zena, you told me that the person that is the Messiah of your faith is a pedophile, right there. Married a 6-year-old, consummated at 9, a third grader, a third grader. People weren't that different that long ago to where you couldn't tell the difference between a 9-year-old and an adult. That's not even just gross. That's like I want to find a rock and throw it at Muhammad. I mean, it just, honestly, I have no idea. So I have the purple one I've had forever, and I have no idea what brand. The red one is one I just got from Walmart, and I got like the whatever resistance band was like the highest resistance, just because I knew even if I didn't use like the max resistance with it, you can kind of modify it by like holding both sides with one hand, and to stretch it out to get less resistance with it. But I just always get them from Walmart. The resistance bands aren't really that expensive, but yeah, honestly, the purple one. I mean, like I leave it out here year round, so I mean, it might just snap one day. Whew. Nazina, Muhammad married a 6-year-old. That's bad. I mean, like the fact that your God didn't tell him that not to do that, and the fact that like he was so impure of heart that he would think to do that in general. Like you shouldn't need divine intervention to tell you to not marry a 6-year-old and consummate it at 9. Like I feel like you should be born with that innate desire to protect children. I feel like that's not even like a religious thing. I feel like that's just like if I walk down the street and I see a kid fall and get like your natural inclination should be to help them, not to marry them. That's disgusting. That is. Well, Nuz, I hope the Quran is not true because like to think. I mean, obviously there's probably that kind of stuff happened back then, but like I hope that part's not true because I hope for that kid's sake. But hey, it's supposed to be your holy text, so I guess it's probably true. That's that's a fear. That's I'll be honest, like most of the debates and stuff I've listened to are from like a Christian lens, so I don't really dive into. But like that's like a non-starter. Like ugh, that's just makes me want to punch a hole in. I want to turn it into a Kyle. That's what I want to do. Just punch a hole in a wall. That's you objectively don't hit puberty at 9 years old though. diabolical. I mean, that's just. Nazina, please stop trying to justify pedophilia. It's not a good look. Like, it's just not. There's not anything, like, if that is what's it, like, there's just nothing that can justify it. It doesn't matter whether people didn't argue with it back then. It doesn't matter whether people don't bring that, like, it's just gross, it's immoral, and it's a non starter for that. Like, that's, if someone did that today, they would get stabbed in prison because other people who are terrible people hate those kind of people, rightly so, to such an extent. Like, you don't survive in prison being a person doing, who would do literally what Muhammad did. I would say rightly so. What? No, I mean, everyone, it's all made up knows. Oh, apparently not the. Oh, that's so gross. It's gross and it's also immoral. It's so gross. Oh. One thing that's hard with this band work though is to get, and I think it's a kind of a similar thing with my quads because I do so much squatting and so much pressing in general that it's hard to like get a quick pump. For my biceps or tricep, it's not hard, but my shoulders never get pumped with band work as easily. But these ones are my red ones. I think I got these from Walmart, I'm pretty sure, but I mean, that or Amazon, one of the two. They're the same product, a lot of them are. Oh. I mean, that's where I have the space for it, but I also don't want to buy dumbbells just because I would need such a range of them. Resistance bands provide that. So like for bicep triceps, they're fantastic. It's just, it's kind of like, quads. It's a little bit difficult. I also like how you put the set high in there. It's weird to argue that the Old Testament didn't treat women well when the whole, like, there's Muslim countries that didn't let women drive till like a decade ago. But I don't know. Pulley, yeah, that if I had like a power rack, definitely like a pulley system. I don't think the squat stands would be strong enough for that, but that would definitely be a good like in between because then I could load the plates up and vary it that way. Um, but I don't know if they would work with a squat stand. These are really heavy, but I would have to have like counterweights on them to get them to actually um, stay on them. But well, Nazina, I hope that your knees aren't actually bad, how you said earlier, and that you can do some squats. I unironically, I know I always dog on you about the squats. I think you should do them, whether it's really light or not, because for your knees in general, it will build up the joint of them and allow you to be healthier in general. Um, no. But Nazina, I'm past the religious nonsense for now, but you should do squats, even if you only do like the barbell or if you only do like a kettlebell or not a whatever, like where you hold the kettlebell out in front to build your knees up. I think that would be good because even if you don't necessarily care about how much you squat, like it'll be good if you want to do. I don't know if you actually still play soccer or try to do like other sports, but like it would be good for that for the stability of the joint. Unironically, especially if you had patella issues, that's one good way to build up the ligaments in your body is to um, well, you should do full range of motion, but it's really the weight that you should worry about at first, it being light if your legs aren't very strong, which if you don't squat, it's you will progress really quickly. I don't bench anymore, Fisher. My best bench ever was 150 kilos. Um, well, Nazina, I have to go to work tomorrow, so I can't sit on here for 3 hours talking about whatever. But it's, I hope your knee actually doesn't hurt and that you could do squats because I think it's a good thing to be athletic to be able to do. And you have a history of playing sports, so you should have enough coordination to do a squat, um, just normal back squat. To do a 150 kilo bench press? No. Um, I'd be benching a lot more if I did. Well, I think for Nuz, based on what he's used as like his excuses in the past, like he's had hip or knee issues or whatever with that. So for him, I don't think it's the loading that's the problem. It's doing the full range of motion and trying to make it comfortable and then increasing the load. But like I have the uttermost confidence that you can do the barbell and you can just do that for a little bit until you actually have enough joint stability to agree or to do more weight. But like you almost deadlifted 455 pounds because you did like got it up and you dropped it, but like you should be squatting. I would 70% of it, whatever decent amount of that. So my best deadlift ever is 684. My best back squat is uh, I don't know. I forget what 242 kilos is, but like the so hack squats are fine, but straight barbell squats or even like lunges and stuff, the free range motion increases the stability requirements of the joint. That's why people can leg press a lot of weights versus what they can do in even a hack squat. And people can usually hack squat if you do it a lot. Like I can't hack squat a lot, but I also never do the movement. But when you have a plane like a Smith machine, like you can usually press more on a Smith machine because it's a controlled range of motion. How would you do Zercher squats? Zercher squats just hurt everything. I've never done. I've. I think Zercher squats are a scam. I don't know why anyone does them, but I don't have anything morally against the lift. I just think it's like, why would I want to hurt my like? I'll just do a front squat. It's literally like, put your arms super wide. Like you could literally, you can do like what the power. If I see roided out powerlifters able to do uh, squats, like literally out here, you go collar to collar. You need no shoulder mobility to do that. You could even have your hands like that. You could even have barely anything on the bar. You just need enough hand on the bar to make sure it doesn't roll around. So you need literally for back squats, you need like no shoulder mobility. If you're trying to do front squats, then you need more thoracic and shoulder mobility. But for back squats, you need literally none. But that's a simple thing. So like increase your shoulder mobility, but also like start with your hands as wide as you want, and then as you get more comfortable, you can move them in. Because theoretically, the more narrow it is, the tighter you can get your back. But also like, it's not like I'm right here. Like physically, my arms don't go in that far. Yeah, safety squat bar too. That's honestly like if you have like I actually don't know. I mean, it depends if you have it at your gym, but if you have a safe squat bar, you could literally do that, and you need literally no shoulder mobility at all. Um, but single leg presses, actually, those are I think single leg like leg presses. I think those do have some utility as far as especially if you have for me like I'll get quad tendonitis or like my knees might get a little achy. I find that those are really nice just to like I don't say it works the knee, but like just to get like joint work. Because for me to get a stimulus from a back squat, I have to do enough weight for it to move. It's kind of like the problem I have with like the bands. Like it's hard for me to get a shoulder pump unless I do it, 100 reps or whatever. But for like to work my quad specifically in a squat, like I need enough weight. I'm not going to be able to do 70 kilos where I would have to do it for like 20 reps. And it's, at a certain point, it becomes a cardio thing. So leg extension or something, if I just want to like work on the joint itself. But, but like if I'm trying to do 70 kilos and if I'm trying to get a quad pump, I'm not going to necessarily be able to do that with squats as easily because it's going to be more of a cardiovascular task than one. I mean, it depends what you mean by max volume. Like if you're talking about, I don't really know how to get to max volume, if that makes sense. Like I could do 70 kilos for sets of 10 for, I don't even know how many sets, but like you do it forever. I mean, like 50% of my max of 242 would be 122 or 121, so like 120 kilos. Um, and I've done like 3 sets of 10, but I've never like gone until like failure, if that makes sense. But there's also the balancing act of the fact that I do other lifts, like I do snatches and clean jerks too. So if I were to do a session like that where I truly like go to like a failure with like 120 kilos for multiple sets or even for one, it would become at a detriment. But also, um, that becomes for me like 120. If I were to do like a rep max, the limiting factor would be the cardiovascular aspect of it because I would be more north of 20 reps. And so it would be like um, yeah. But I like if I did like one full out set, like it would be fine, like recovery wise for the next day. But like and it's not even like the cardio of it would be hard. It's hard to explain it exactly because if you exert yourself in a cardio standpoint, like you breathe hard, that's fine. But like when you're doing, like when I did my set of 10, it was 195 I did for a set of 10. Like that set wasn't hard cardio wise, but it's just like systemically because you're breathing hard. So it is hard in a cardio standpoint, but like it's hard on, it's almost everything. It's just difficult everywhere to like go through the whole set, to be breathing on the whole set, to be exerting yourself on the whole set. So it's a different kind of animal. Like if I just wanted to breathe hard, like yeah, I could do the barbell and do like a set of 100 or 50 or whatever and just do that and I would start to breathe hard or whatever and it wouldn't really be that taxing on my legs. But as soon as you add a little bit of weight, um, 100% strength. Well, in strength, so for me it's like strength training is what I focus on, but implementing like saying I you should always try to generally increase volume. That's something that whether no matter what kind of training that you do, and hypertrophy is an aspect of getting stronger. But the difference for me when I'm thinking of like what's the difference between strength and hypertrophy is more of an aesthetic difference because no matter what kind of training you do, you need hypertrophy and you need strength, whether you are a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, a powerlifter. But the difference for me is what aesthetically you were trying to achieve. I don't care necessarily if I have bigger arms or if I have symmetrical pec muscles or if my glutes are small. Like I don't, although my glutes are not small, they have very, very large glutes. But like, um, what I'm focusing on is building the strength so then it implements to bigger lifts. And you can train in the style that I do and just never go to max, and you get a lot of the hypertrophy benefits. I think bodybuilders would a lot of the really good ones have a balance of that. Glute max. But I don't like, and that's the thing is like, I don't, for me, like the reason I don't really do a lot of curls is it doesn't really matter to me. My arms look fine to myself. Like I don't have any aesthetic reasons to dislike them. But if like I were to go absolutely berserk with arms, and let's say I responded really well and my biceps got bigger, it'd make my front rack worse. So like from a mobility standpoint, it would make my weightlifting more difficult. And I don't really want that, and I don't really have an issue with like how my arms look. And the bigger triceps and shoulders and all of that, that doesn't really get in the way. But like biceps are one of the few muscles where it literally, like if I had giant Arnold Schwarzenegger biceps, literally like I couldn't do this, and I already have that limited in general. Which is not to mean you should never train biceps, but that's truly one where I don't try to like get a crazy pump in it because like literally then I can't, I have no mobility. Um, and I suppose that's true of chest as well, but I don't notice as much as that. But I mean, all you have to know if that's true is like literally get a bicep pump and then try to hold a front squat. Like it becomes impossible. But um, no, I'm not like completely agree with the triceps. Triceps are extremely important for the lockout, and as far as like the functioning of the lifts. And logically, if you're training the triceps, you should train the biceps a little bit. So I'm not saying you should never train biceps, but I'm not gonna sit there on a Friday night and getting a crazy bicep pump to see how big I can get it. But yeah, try like I just did triceps. Like triceps are really important, so completely in agreement with that. And there's not really like if my triceps grew 3 inches, they're not going to be in the way of anything. So I'm not worried about my triceps getting too big. I'm not really worried about any muscle getting too big because that's kind of like the woman fear of lifting. Like I might accidentally turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's like I'm not going to intentionally do what I know is going to put hypertrophy into my biceps all the time. Every once in a while is fine, and I don't think it's not necessarily bad to like use that muscle, but I'm not gonna there and measure it and try to increase it. Um, Biceps don't really do anything. I'm gonna be honest. They're I don't say they're useless for strength training, but I think the only reason you should train biceps is because you train triceps and you want the antagonist muscles to be somewhat balanced. You won't just like I don't use my chest a lot in weightlifting, but I don't want to never use them. And like when you do push presses and stuff like that, you do activate your chest a little bit. Um, I don't want caveman arms. I want to be able to do front squats. I've been doing front squats with straps today to stretch my arm out. Get bigger biceps and ruin that. Piano arm day. No, you should do a Rich Piana squat day. 12-hour squats or 10-hour squats, whatever. The 10-hour arm, or is it 12-hour arm day? Just do 12-hour squats. Squat, 60 kilos for 12 hours. But 8 hours, 8-hour curls. 8-hour, 60-kilo squats. The true manly way to get rhabdomyalgia. But let me say, I need to run and get some food. Tomorrow is today was the last day of students. Tomorrow is a half day, I think. I don't think it's a full day, but it's like a teacher day, so there's no students. And usually the last day you're just cleaning and putting stuff away, and so that's really all to do is just finish getting my stuff out of the gym and getting it there so they can put stuff in and clean and all of that stuff. And then once I do that, I'll be done. And then summer break next week. Grad school class, my one just opened, so I have that to do. It finally opened, and I for some reason forgot how to look at the instructions on Mitchell Hooper. He's not a good person. Um, I It was interesting. I used to follow him on YouTube, and I kind of got bored of his content. Completely unrelated to all of his personal life stuff, and then all of that stuff come out. So I mean, he's good at strongman, but he's not good at being a moral person. And yeah, I don't respect him on like a person level, but like I guess he's good at his sport. But I'd rather be a moral person. Hills Daniel, did you not hear about what happened with Mitchell Hooper? He's strong. He's not strong. He is strong physically, but emotionally he's very morally he's very weak. Oh, well, just so you're on YouTube right now, so I'm about to head in. So type in Mitchell Cooper or Cooper Mitchell Hooper controversy, and you can see videos of it. He cheated on his wife, um, so but he's also it goes deeper than just cheating on his wife. He called out another strongman competitor when that person cheated on his wife and basically saying like this is terrible, you should never, things that are correct to say, but then was hypocritical, and then him doing the same thing, and it's with his wife or against his wife. He cheated with someone that wasn't his wife, of course, and oh yes, and his wife's pregnant too. I even forgot about that. The hypocrisy, and obviously, there's no context where like cheating on your wife is good. Like, there's not like, to me, it's like once you cheat on your wife, it wouldn't matter whether she had terminal cancer, whether she was 9 months pregnant. Like, to me, it's like as soon as you break that, it's like there's no like thing you could add on top of that that would make it's kind of like if you this is a little more, but like if you killed someone, it wouldn't to me matters. I mean, I guess it matters the manner with it. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here, but like the cheating kind of like you can't add anything to me to that to make it even worse. Obviously you can, but like the, the fact that she's pregnant, like he already cheated, like this is already terrible. Like she could be 100% healthy, unpregnant, they could have no kids together, and it still be a terrible thing. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm wrapping around. So I went the other end. She could be nothing wrong at all. She could even be a mean person. She could be a bad person. You're married to the person. You just don't do that. But also, when I threw a circle change, I threw it like this, and I used my middle finger to push it, internal rotate like that. A little known fact. My curveball by 12-6 like this. Threw curveballs like this sometimes, but also a slider sometimes. I was never good at two seams. I don't know why. My ball just never moved in a two seam fashion, so I would only throw four seams. Knuckleball. Yeah, the be kind. So it's like, so Hills Daniel, look up Mitchell Hooper controversy. There's people that explain it really well about, obviously a contradiction with his brand. Um, right side dominant. Well, the right side dominant is because I injured my shoulder. You would think I would have hurt my right shoulder, but I do have some. Um, yeah, I did play baseball, but I'm sure I do have some imbalances. But I think the differences between my shoulders are actually not really related to baseball, strangely enough. But maybe because of all the external rotation of my right arm over the years, it's made my right arm more durable. Because I haven't really hurt it, but I've hurt both wrists and all of that. So I haven't really, and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to. I played baseball for long enough where I probably have some sort of imbalances and stuff like that. But um, by the time I was doing weightlifting, it hadn't been like I never had shoulder issues in general. So I never really had like, and I was that weirdo that when we had band work or mobility work, I would do it with both arms. So I never only trained my right arm, obviously throwing, but I even spent a little time throwing my left arm, not a ton, but um, I was thankfully pretty symmetrical in a lot of my strength. But well, Gretchen, I don't know if you saw, but he turned off comments on a lot of his posts. That's when I stopped looking at his Instagram because he got so butthurt about being called out. So it's usually a good sign. Usually a good sign that you're doing good things when you have to disable Instagram comments. Well, that just Gretchen, that just happened recently in the last couple days because he did have comments on, and it did look like so it looked like comments were unmonitored for a while, or at least like everything was just whatever people threw in. Then it seemed to be controlled, like he was editing comments or whoever's running his Instagram. Because I don't think it's necessarily him, but it was being like comments were being deleted because there was getting a lot less of them, and then they were disabled. So I think the censorship of people that were criticizing him became a little too much for his social media team to be able to um, correct. But you're not wrong, Hills Daniel. And that's why I try to do mobility work in general. Because I think for me, I think most of my mobility differences are probably, honest, could be with my shoulders, but I don't think like if I kept throwing once I quit baseball a ton, like if I was still throwing, there would be more imbalances, but I think a lot of those are kind of evened out for the most part. Um, yeah. You can turn YouTube comments off. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at some point. but also the Instagram audience is much more direct or is going to be much more active commenting than people on YouTube. There's people on YouTube that probably only watch him on YouTube and might not have realized stuff has happened, or I don't say they don't care, but like the YouTube audience is different. Instagram audience is definitely much more in the know. I guess it's much more like Facebook where people know more personal stuff. Um, but like YouTube is, I don't know. I'd be curious with that. I guess more drama. That's a good way of saying it. There's more drama on Instagram, but um, there's. I think people are much more likely to. I think this is the difference. People are much more likely to comment anything on Instagram, just in general, versus on YouTube. I don't really comment much in general. I try to do that on YouTube just to be a part of the ecosystem, but like my inkling is just I just don't think about it when I'm watching stuff. I'll like a video, but I don't necessarily like immediately think to comment most of the time on anything. And then Instagram, it's just like if I know people, that's the only people I really comment with. Um, so I don't I ever comment on like anything that I don't directly follow. At least maybe I have, but it's really not something I do on any sort of consistent basis. But yeah, unfortunately, he's a bad person. Still strong, I suppose, but I don't know. Strongman's also kind of weird because you can't watch it any like there's not like on YouTube or anything like the competitions, and I get the live stuff not being available necessarily if you want people to pay for it, but like why isn't it available after? Like the only reason I ever even know about strongman is because it was on TV and because of competitions. And it's like CrossFit did the same mistake. They had that clean and jerk ladder back in the day, and then they just never did something cool like that again. And so it's like, why would I care about CrossFit when it's just like random burpees and stuff? And unfortunately, strongman, you don't even get to see that at all. It's just like doesn't exist. Like I don't even know where to even watch it if I wanted to. But Flow Sports used to be okay. Is that where Strongman's on that? I don't know what Flow Sports is, but I don't know. That's the thing is like if it was just available on I I don't really like live competitions. Not that there's anything wrong with it necessarily, but I would like it to be edited down to be able to see, what is exactly going on, or to see like a more condensed view. Like I don't want to watch a 3 hour competition, but like to see the highlights of it. I don't know. World Strongman just doesn't do that, or at least I don't know. For me, I'm not a good audience for it because I just don't really care enough about strongman. I want to see the big lifts for like the behind the neck jerks or the regular, if they're doing overhead stuff or the deadlifts and stuff. Everything else is just to me, it's just CrossFit. Like I don't care what a stone lift is or what they're doing with the yoke carry. Like I'm cool. I'm interested in the deadlift. If they're doing a jerk, something like that. Squats can be interesting. Sometimes they're doing kind of weird variations, but yeah, for all the other stuff, it's like I can't contextualize. Obviously, they're really strong and stuff. It's not to say that um, yeah, and I'm sure it's fine, but to me, it's kind of like CrossFit in the same sense. Like I don't really care what someone can do, like if they can do a burpee workout and muscle ups and all of that stuff in like a certain amount of time, or run a really fast mile and all of that stuff. Like I'm curious what they can snatch and clean and jerk, because I've done a muscle up, I've run before, and I don't really care what those numbers are. I care about the things that I are interested in, and same thing with strongman. I think it'd be cool if they did a pyroclean competition. That personally would be really interesting. Not with a log, it's straight barbell. I think a lot of them would struggle with the mobility of it, but I think if they trained for it specifically, that would be really cool. Or like a max clean competition, pyroclean slash clean, kind of how they do with jerks, like any which way that you do it. Maybe that would be dangerous, but I think it would be fun. I mean, all of strongman is probably dangerous, but that would be cool to have a max clean or a power clean. I don't know. Hasn't removed mine. All right, boys. I'm out. Need to go in and eat and sleep. Deuces.